It started with a number that didn't belong to me. Not a secret, not a confession, just a simple, silent change. One that no one noticed but me. And once I saw it, I couldn't unsee it. After that, everything, my choices, my name, even the people I thought I could trust, started to blur. You ever have one of those days where the universe seems to shrug at you? That was my Tuesday. I was behind on rent, nursing the same pot of instant coffee for the third day in a row, and sitting at the kitchen table in a pair of socks that had more hole than cotton. The fridge hummed louder than my phone notifications, which is to say it was completely silent. I worked at an auto parts warehouse on the edge of town. Graveyard shift. No windows, no praise, just forklifts and fluorescent lights that made everything look dead. My life was simple. Broke, but simple. I didn't gamble, didn't dream too big, and didn't ask for trouble. Which is why I damn near passed out when I checked my bank app that afternoon and saw the number, $4,211,846.29. I blinked. Refreshed. Still there. Checked the account details. Still mine. Not a pending balance. Not a refund. No check had been deposited. Just a number. Big, round, impossible. I stared at it for 10 full minutes. I thought maybe the bank glitched. Or maybe this was the day my estranged Uncle Dale had finally died and left me his secret oil fortune. But I didn't have an Uncle Dale. So I did what any halfway responsible adult would do. I logged out. Logged back in. Still there. Now, I'm not stupid. I know banks don't give gifts. I've had overdraft fees for buying toothpaste. They don't just misplace $4 million. But it was there. And it had my name on it. My name. Not a typo. Not a different account. Mine. My first instinct was to call them. I even dialed half the number. Then I stopped. Because suddenly, my apartment didn't feel so small anymore. Suddenly, the noise from the leaky pipe above the shower didn't bother me. Suddenly, I could breathe. And maybe, just maybe, that was the most dangerous thought of all. I didn't sleep that night. Not a wink. I just sat there, staring at the glow of my phone like it was some ancient relic that had blessed me with power. What do you do when $4 million appears in your account? You tell someone? No, you don't. Because here's the thing about money, it doesn't change you. It reveals you. And me? I wasn't sure what it would reveal yet. By 2 a.m., I'd ordered takeout for the first time in weeks. Thai food, pad thai and crispy spring rolls. I tipped the guy $30. He looked at me like I'd lost my mind. Maybe I had. By sunrise, I had opened a second account at another bank. Quietly. No big moves. Just a transfer of 10 grand to see if it would go through. It did. No flags. No calls. No sirens. That's when the voice in my head started whispering louder. Maybe this was meant for you. The next 3 days were a slow-motion blur. I didn't quit my job. That would have been too obvious. But I stopped dreading it. I paid off my back rent. Cashed out on the gas bill. Left a $100 tip at the diner. No one suspected a thing. But something felt off. Too easy. On day 4, I got a letter. No return address. Just my name and apartment number, printed clean and straight. Inside, one sheet of paper. Typed. Centered. You have what isn't yours. Make the right choice. We're watching. No signature. No threat. But the pit in my stomach turned inside out. Someone knew. I sat in my chair for a long time, holding the letter like it might explode. It didn't. But it might as well have. I didn't go to work the next night. First time I called in sick since I started at the warehouse. My boss didn't argue. He just grunted and said, "Don't make it a habit." Too late. Because now I had a letter sitting on my kitchen table like a coiled snake, and $4.2 million burning a hole through every thought I had. I started pacing. Circles. I must have worn a groove into the carpet. I thought about shredding the letter. Burning it. Leaving town. Instead, I ordered new clothes online. Not fancy. Just clean. Ones that didn't come from the discount rack at the strip mall next to the vape shop. That night, I didn't sleep again. It was like trying to nap with a gun on your chest. The next day, I walked into the bank. Not my usual one, the one 2 blocks from my apartment where the teller always asked if I wanted to round up for kids' cancer. No, this was a downtown branch. Glass walls. Steel everything. Men in suits and women in heels that sounded like gunshots on marble. I walked up to the counter and asked to speak to a manager. She was in her 40s. Slick bun. Lipstick like dried wine. Introduced herself as Janine. Smiled with her teeth but not her eyes. "How can I help you today, Mr. Harper?" That was me. Noah Harper. There was a deposit made to my account. A large one. I just want to make sure it wasn't a mistake. Her smile didn't budge. What's the amount? For .2 million, I said quietly. She blinked once, then typed something into her terminal. The clicking of her keys felt like the loudest thing in the room. Yes, I see the deposit here. May 8th. No errors flagged. Do you know where it came from? She frowned. I can't disclose the origin without a subpoena or authorization from the sending party. But it's in my account? Yes, Mr. Harper. And I can use it? She nodded. It's yours. Until someone says otherwise. I left the bank feeling like I was walking on air wrapped in TNT. That night, I made my first big purchase. A car. Not a Ferrari. Not a Lambo. Just a clean, black Audi A5, used, but polished like glass. Something that didn't scream money but definitely whispered it. The dealer shook my hand like I just married his daughter. I paid cash. Full. No questions asked. And still, nothing happened. No sirens. No federal agents kicking in my door. I drove that Audi back to my building like I was auditioning for a music video. Heads turned. My landlord peered through the blinds. I parked it in front of the complex like a middle finger to everything that used to own me. Then came the second letter. Same black envelope. Same printer paper feel. Tucked under my windshield wiper. This one didn't ask. You have 7 days to make it right. After that, consequences become permanent. Still unsigned. Still chilling. 7 days. I sat in the driver's seat for almost an hour, staring at that note like it had teeth. I didn't tell anyone. Not my cousin Eddie. Not my old coworker Marcus. Not the girl at the liquor store who always gave me free scratchers. Because if you tell people you just became a millionaire, they stop hearing you. They just hear the money. On day 3, I went to a lawyer. Midtown, second floor above a frozen yogurt place. He wore a tie that looked like it was from a thrift store and had eyes like someone who'd seen too many divorces. I told him I wanted to set up an anonymous trust. Planning for something? He asked. Just trying to do it right. He helped me move part of the money offshore. Legit. Protected. If someone came looking, they'd hit a wall of legal fog. But even that didn't make me feel safe. Because you can't hide from guilt behind paperwork. On day 4, I tried to sleep. Didn't work. My dreams were full of sirens. Of men in black suits with no faces. Of waking up and finding my account wiped clean, replaced with a blinking red warning that said, fraud detected. But when I woke up, the number was still there. For $1,211,846.29. Still waiting. Still daring me to spend more. Day 5, I hit the road. Just drove. No map. No destination. Wound up in the kind of town where gas pumps still had flip numbers and the diner smelled like bacon and forgotten dreams. I sat at the counter and ordered eggs. Paid with a crisp 100. The waitress blinked. You sure, hon? I nodded. Yeah, keep it. She smiled. And I felt something strange. Good. Like maybe this money wasn't a curse after all. Maybe I could do some good with it. But that thought died the second I walked back to the car. Because there was someone leaning on the hood of my Audi. A man in a navy windbreaker, hands in his pockets, sunglasses on even though the sun was behind the clouds. He didn't say a word. Just looked at me. Then smiled. And got into a beige Camry. Drove away slow. No plates. No brake lights. Just gone. I stood there for a long time. And I knew. This wasn't going away. Whatever this was, mistake, test, setup, I wasn't invisible anymore. On day 6, I bought a burner phone. The kind you get from a gas station between beef jerky racks and knockoff headphones. I paid cash. Used gloves. Left no ID. I wasn't a criminal. But I was starting to think like one. I powered it up in the backseat of the Audi, windows cracked just enough to keep the fog out. It buzzed as soon as the signal hit. One new message. Blocked number. You're not hard to find. Return what's not yours before this becomes irreversible. That was the word that stuck in my throat. Irreversible. Like the beginning of rot. Or a choice that burns the bridge and the river beneath it. I drove straight to the ATM. Not to withdraw, just to check. Still there. All of it. Like it was mocking me now. That night, I sat in the parking lot of my old high school. It was empty. Abandoned. Really. The school had shut down after budget cuts and asbestos warnings. The windows were dark. The fence was bent in 3 spots. I used to sit on those front steps and dream of getting out. Now I was out. But it didn't feel like freedom. It felt like I'd escaped into someone else's skin and didn't know how to wear it. On day 7, I woke to the sound of someone knocking. 3 sharp raps on my apartment door. Not the kind of knock you get from neighbors. The kind that makes your body go still before your brain catches up. I waited. Silent. Looked through the peephole. Nothing. I cracked the door. No one there. But taped to the frame? Another letter. This one was different. Handwritten. Sharp, angry strokes. This is your last chance. Midnight. Deposit it back. Or we take back more than the money. I sat down on the kitchen floor, knees drawn in, like I used to when my dad drank and the shouting started downstairs. Because this wasn't a prank anymore. It wasn't even about the money. It was a game. A test. And I didn't know if I was the subject or the target. I spent the day like a man waiting for lightning. I called the bank from a payphone outside a bowling alley. Is there any flag on my account? I asked. The woman on the line sounded bored. No, sir. Everything looks normal. What about the deposit from last week? Still there. I hung up before I could ask more. Before my voice cracked. Because the truth? I was starting to believe that maybe this wasn't a mistake. Maybe someone wanted me to have the money. To see what I'd do with it. And maybe they were watching now, wondering if I'd cave. Midnight came. I stood in front of the ATM, card in hand, heart trying to escape through my ribs. I could have ended it. Just hit transfer. Send the money back. Walk away. But I didn't. I withdrew another $5,000. Not because I needed it. Because I needed to know I still could. Because the lie that feeds you feels too good to kill. The next morning, I found my apartment door wide open. Nothing missing. Nothing stolen. Just open. Like a whisper. Like a warning. And on my bed? A single envelope. Inside, a photo of me, taken from behind, standing at the ATM the night before. Below it, 2 words scribbled in red ink. Tick-tock. I didn't go inside. Just stood in the hallway, staring at the photo in my hand, the apartment door hanging open like a mouth mid-screen. Someone had been inside. Watched me. Followed me. And now they were letting me know the rules had changed. This wasn't about whether I'd return the money anymore. This was a power play. They wanted me to feel it. I stepped back, slow, shut the door without entering, and walked down the stairs like the air was made of glass. My Audi sat at the curb, untouched. Which only made it worse. Because when everything looks normal and you know it's not, that's when paranoia stops being irrational. I checked into a motel 15 miles outside the city. Cash only. Room 203. The kind with curtains that don't close all the way and a bathroom fan that sounds like a dying animal. I turned off my phone. Sat in the corner with the burner next to me, like it might start barking orders at any minute. I didn't know who they were. Could have been the bank. Could have been the feds. Could have been some shadowy syndicate laundering money through civilians as a test balloon for a bigger operation. But the truth was it didn't matter. Because I wasn't an ordinary guy anymore. I was a variable. A ripple. A risk. And someone out there didn't like that. The message came at 3:11 a.m. Same block number. Come alone. 4th and Kessler. Parking garage, rooftop. For a clock. I stared at the text so long I forgot to breathe. Then I texted back. Will you kill me? No reply. Which felt like an answer. The drive was quiet. Kessler Street was a vein of busted concrete and flickering streetlights. The parking garage loomed like a concrete tomb. 5 levels, no elevator. My tires echoed through the ramps, every floor emptier than the last. At the top, I killed the engine. Waited. For 10 minutes, nothing. Then a pair of headlights crept up from behind. A black sedan, low and quiet, windows tinted like obsidian. It stopped 10 feet away. The engine cut. Driver's door opened. He stepped out. Clean-shaven. Early 50s. Navy coat. Leather gloves. But it was his eyes that hit me hardest. Cold. Calculating. Like he'd already decided what I was worth. He didn't introduce himself. Didn't reach for a weapon. Just pulled out a pack of cigarettes and lit one, when whipping the smoke sideways. You look worse than I expected, he said. You look exactly like I did, I replied. 10 minutes before I sold my soul. He smiled. Barely. You're clever. That's good. Who are you? He took a drag. Blew it into the sky. Someone who fixes problems. Is that what I am? Not yet. He stepped closer. Let's keep this simple. The money wasn't meant for you. But you held on to it longer than anyone thought you would. That caught attention. So it was a mistake. No, he said. It was bait. That hit me in the chest like a shovel. Bait for what? For people like you, he said. People who have nothing left to lose. People who make a choice when no one's watching. And what choice did I make? You didn't panic. You didn't blow it all. You didn't run. You paused. I swallowed. So what does that make me? He flicked ash off the ledge. Useful. That word sat in my gut like a stone. Then he reached into his coat and handed me an envelope. Inside, a photo of a man in a suit, mid-50s, walking through what looked like an airport terminal. Along with it, a plane ticket, one way, a burner phone, and a keycard. What is this? I asked. He didn't answer right away. Just stared me down like he was deciding whether to say the thing that would change my life again. Then, it's a job, one that pays better than $4 million. One where the danger isn't if you fail. It's if you hesitate. Why me? Because you kept the money. And you still came here. That's the balance we need. And if I say no? He smiled without warmth. You won't. He got back in the car. Drove off without a word. Left me standing on the rooftop with a choice that wasn't a choice. Because by the time you realize you're part of the game, you're already playing. I stared at the envelope the whole way back. Didn't open it again. Didn't need to. The image was burned into my head. The man in the suit, the terminal, the keycard, the offer that wasn't won. I kept thinking about what he said. The money wasn't meant for you. It was bait. All this time, I thought I was getting away with something. Turns out I was being watched. Groomed, maybe. For what? Still unclear. But I knew enough now to understand one thing. Walking away wasn't on the table anymore. By noon, I was on a flight to Chicago. Economy seat. Middle row. No questions. The man in the photo was on that plane too. I spotted him 3 rows ahead, in first class. Gray suit, black shoes with a polish so sharp they could blind you. He looked like a lobbyist, or someone who owned buildings other people cleaned. I didn't approach. Didn't need to. The instructions were clear. Observe. The burner phone in my pocket buzzed just before takeoff. Follow him to the terminal. He checks into the Blackstone. Do not engage. Just get the key card copied and leave the rest to us. The name in the folder was Colin Mercer. The kind of name that sounds like a yacht and a lawyer at the same time. When we landed, I followed. Like a shadow. Like a coward. Or maybe like someone finally starting to understand the stakes. Mercer didn't look around. Didn't fidget. Just walked with that practiced self-importance you only earn from decades of never hearing the word no. The Blackstone was old money. Towering. Brass and marble and doormen with straight backs. I didn't go in through the front. Instead, I waited around the corner until I saw the concierge hand him a slim card in a black envelope. He slipped it into his breast pocket. That was the target. The card. Room 2147. I waited an hour. 2. Then walked around back, dressed like a janitor. One of the assets, that's what the voice on the burner phone called him, had prepped everything. I had a card, a fake ID badge, and just enough guts to get past the rear security checkpoint. Nobody looked at me twice. Amazing what a pair of rubber gloves and a confident posture will do. I made it to the 21st floor just as the cleaning staff rotated out. I knocked once on 2147. No answer. Knocked again. Nothing. Then I picked the lock. Fast. Shaky. Inside. Silence. The room smelled like leather and air conditioning. The kind of scent you only find in expensive places that are cleaned by people who never get thanked. I found the suit jacket draped over the chair. Front pocket. Black envelope. Card inside. Hotel key. Embedded chip. Standard issue. I copied it using the reader I'd been given, clipped to my belt like a flashlight. It took 8 seconds. Then I put everything back exactly how I found it. Wiped every surface I touched. Walked out. That should have been it. Mission complete. But I made a mistake. A small one. Stupid. I looked back. Just once. And Mercer was standing there. In the hallway. Staring at me. Eyes like razors. He didn't say anything. Didn't move. Just watched as the elevator doors closed between us. And in that second, I knew it. He knew. I ran. All the way to the drop point. A dead-end alley 3 blocks down where the pickup car waited. Black SUV. Engine idling. I jumped in. Did you get it? The driver asked without turning. I nodded. Yeah. But he saw me. Doesn't matter, the voice said. Not from the driver. From the speaker in the dash. That same calm voice from the rooftop. Good work, Noah. You're proving worth the investment. My hands were shaking. This isn't what I signed up for. No, the voice said. This is what you earned. They dropped me off at a motel west of the city. $70 a night. Peeling paint. Burnt carpet. Window facing a cinder block wall. No Wi-Fi. Just quiet. They told me to stay put. That I'd hear from them again. I paced for hours. barefoot, sweating. Checked my main account. Still there. For $1,211,846.29. And for the first time, I realized how heavy that number really was. Because it wasn't money anymore. It was a leash. I didn't leave the motel for 2 days. Didn't turn on the TV. Didn't shower. Just sat on the edge of the bed, staring at the wall like it was going to crack open and give me answers. The burner phone stayed quiet. Too quiet. Which, by now, I understood was worse than any message. Because when they didn't speak, they were watching. And when they were watching, they were waiting for you to flinch. On the third morning, the silence broke. 3 knocks on the door. Sharp. Familiar. I peeked through the curtain. A woman. Late 30s. Athletic build. Black jeans, gray sweater. Hair tied tight. Holding a takeaway coffee tray like a peace offering. I opened the door. Chain still hooked. She didn't smile. "Can I come in?" she asked. "No." She shrugged. "Fair enough." Then she pulled a slim envelope from her coat and slid it under the chain. "For you." I bent down, picked it up. Inside, 3 things. A Polaroid of my brother, Ben, standing in front of his apartment in Boise. A photo of my mother's old house, the porch light broken, weeds up to the mailbox. And a final one. Me. Sleeping in the motel bed, taken sometime the night before. My breath caught. "What is this?" The woman leaned against the doorframe, unfazed. "Pressure," she said. "Keeps the machine oiled." I opened the door fully. "You're threatening me?" She raised an eyebrow. "I'm reminding you that no one's off-grid anymore. Not in this game. You made a choice. They're your collateral now." I stepped back, heart thudding. "What do you want?" "Just a conversation." She set the coffee tray on the desk. Sat on the edge of the chair like she'd done it 100 times before. "We're losing patience," she said. "You're slow. You ask too many questions. And Mercer, the man you lifted the keycard from, is on alert. That's not acceptable. He saw me by accident." "No. You let him see you. You wanted to know how it felt to get close to someone who mattered." She was right. And that's what terrified me. Because part of me had wanted that. Proof I wasn't just a tool in a machine, but something sharper. Something real. The woman slid a folder across the table. "This is your next move." I didn't touch it. "You keep this up," she added. "We put a gun in your hand." "And if I say no?" She stood. Calm. Measured. "You won't." She walked to the door, then paused. "You're not the first we've tried, Noah. But you're the first who didn't spend the money and run." I swallowed. "That's supposed to mean something?" "It means you're either smarter than the rest, or more dangerous." She left. I opened the folder. This one wasn't about money. It was about leverage. A banker in Denver. Internal fraud, offshore bribes, shell companies. And a ledger. Hidden. Analog. Physical. Somewhere in his house. My job? Get it. Get out. Send a photo. I drove all night. Didn't stop. Didn't call Ben. Or my mom. Or anyone. I couldn't. Because now they were part of it. Wrapped in the same spider's web I'd wandered into thinking it was silk. By the time I reached Denver, the guilt was heavier than the duffel bag in my trunk. I scouted the neighborhood. Suburban. Clean. Sprinklers on timers. SUVs in every driveway. I waited until the banker left for his office. Then broke in through the back door. Fast. Quiet. Gloves on. The house was too nice. Too clean. It smelled like glass cleaner and coffee beans. I found the study. Searched the cabinets. Nothing. Then I saw the vent. Floor level. Loose screws. I pried it open. Inside, wrapped in plastic. A leather-bound notebook. I opened it. Names. Accounts. Bribes. Dates. Everything. I pulled out my phone. Took photos of every page. Then put it back. Why? Because part of me still wanted to believe I wasn't a thief. I wasn't one of them. Not yet. I sent the photos. An hour later, the woman texted. "Good work. Go dark for now." That night, I checked my main account again. For $1,211,846.29. Still there. Untouched. Like a promise with teeth. But I couldn't sleep. Because I knew what was coming next. The moment where they stop testing you. And start owning you. I drove for hours the next morning. Nowhere in particular. Just away. The Rockies gave way to flatlands. Farms. Long stretches of nothing where the sky was too big and the silence too loud. I thought I could outrun it. The pressure. The surveillance. The weight of $4 million unearned dollars. But I couldn't. Because the thing they don't tell you is, Once you cash in on a secret, you're part of it. It owns a piece of you. Maybe not your soul, but something close enough that it doesn't matter. The burner phone rang at noon. I let it buzz 5 times before picking up. Same voice. Calm. Measured. Like it always knew what it was going to say before you answered. Noah. Yeah. We're at the end now. End of what? Your audition. A pause. Then, you passed. I should have felt proud. Or relieved. I felt hollow. He continued. We've cleared the way for you. Offshore account, blank passport, 3 identities, full extraction protocol. You don't have to go back to your old life. You don't even have to look over your shoulder. All we ask. Another pause. Is one final task. They flew me to D.C. Private jet. Empty cabin. Glass of water and a sealed envelope waiting on the tray table. Inside, a file. A new name. A man I'd never heard of. A judge. He was presiding over a case that could unravel some of the people I now worked for. People who preferred their money offshore and their enemies off script. My job wasn't to kill him. Not exactly. But they wanted me to ruin him. Leak photos. Forge documents. Frame him with charges that would sink him faster than the trial could. It was already prepped. All I had to do was hit send. A single button. One choice. And I'd be rich, faceless, untouchable. I sat in the hotel room that night with my laptop open, cursor blinking on the final command prompt. I had the flash drive in my hand. The one with all the doctored files. I had the phone in the other. And I had one person left to call. Ben. My little brother. The only real part of my life I hadn't buried. He answered on the 3rd ring. Noah. His voice was groggy. You okay? I didn't speak for a second. Then, if you could change everything, walk away from your whole life, no questions asked, would you? He laughed. What? Like witness protection? Yeah, exactly like that. There was a pause. Depends. What did you do? I didn't answer. Didn't need to. He exhaled slowly. You're not a bad person, Noah. You're just good at pretending you're in control. Then he added, don't forget who you were before the money. I hung up, closed the laptop, took the flash drive, walked to the hotel sink, and dropped it down the garbage disposal. Let it grind. Let it scream. Let it end. The burner rang. I didn't answer. It rang again. Then silence. I knew what that meant. I left the hotel at midnight. Took only what I could carry. Drove to a little post office in Maryland and mailed an anonymous package, copies of the photos from the Denver job, the judge file, the ledger entries. I sent them to a journalist I trusted, one I'd read for years. A byline I remembered from a piece that helped free someone falsely accused. Maybe they'd bury it. Maybe they'd run it. But at least the truth would be out there. Somewhere. It didn't take long. By the end of the week, the headlines hit. Whistleblower leaks high-level financial scandal involving federal officials and offshore shells. Anonymous source tied to $4 million account vanishes from system. My phone died for good the next day. So did the burner. And I became a shadow. I don't live big anymore. No Audi. No designer clothes. I work at a garage in a town with one blinking streetlight and a diner that closes at 6. I fix things. Engines. Radios. Sometimes the heater in a single mom's SUV. I live in a 2-room place behind the shop. Cash only. No questions. The money? Still out there. I didn't return it. Not all of it, anyway. I gave some away. Started accounts for 3 kids I read about in the paper. Mailed 10 grand to my old landlord with no return address. I kept just enough to disappear. And enough to remember. Because here's the truth. I was never meant to be a millionaire. I was meant to be tested. Tempted. Used. But I made my choice. And it wasn't the cleanest one. It wasn't heroic. But it was mine. And that has to be enough.